Hello. Oh, baby. I am a positive person today. No negative Ken today. No upset, no frustration, no anger. I'm not going to languish on the first period and freak out that it was 2-0. Oh, no. Again for like the seventh time. Whatever. That's not what I'm doing today. No, we're focused on the good today because today is the first time. I guess during the Columbus series, maybe. Well, no, Colorado series, maybe. No, I think this is probably the first time since like not a major, I guess, where like I legit feel like this team has it. This is the team. This is the one. Like I'm about to go run to the nearest William Hill mobile sports book, which I'm assuming is at like, I don't know, down the street from it where I'm at the space here. And I'm throwing all the money, all the chicken money that I've made on the NFTs, all the digital horse money. It's all going on the Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup. Why do I feel so good? Let me answer that question right now. Because today, the Golden Knights played easily their best 40 minutes of hockey the entire season. And even though they score a shorthanded goal, they score a goal that should not have counted. And then even without it not counting because it was offsides, a stick blows up and the goalie's sliding all over the place. And they score. Whatever. I don't even care. I don't even care about any of that. I don't even care. What I care about is that after 20 minutes of dog shit, politely put, sorry, positive Ken. After 20 minutes of not the best hockey and could have been better and must need improvement, they come out and just dominate. Just dominate. Like every piece of the game, they're killing them along the walls. They're excellent exiting the zone. They're very good getting the puck in. They're not forcing the puck in when it's not there. They're dumping over the top. The forecheck is eating the team alive. They're hemming them in their own zone. They're getting the puck all over the offensive zone, creating chances in the offensive zone, creating chances on the rush, getting out of their own zone consistently, not taking stupid penalties. Even the one that they took, I didn't hate. I know it's an offensive zone penalty and whatever, but like, even that one, it's a stick check. It's a play to try and make a forechecking play to try and get something to happen to continue putting this pressure on a team that proved over 20 minutes that they can take you out of your game. And this, to me, was the first time we've truly seen the team and the system and the style of play dominate, even though you're without most of your best players. You're literally the best player that you have on the roster that's currently playing was terrible today. Sorry, Mark Stone. It was not good. He was maybe the worst I've seen Mark Stone play, and yet they still win the game by playing a style of simplicity. It was simplistic in exiting. It was simplistic in entering. It was simplistic in setting up in the neutral zone. Like, a number of times I'm watching the new neutral zone setup. And if you're not familiar with what you're looking at, basically just watch one of the wingers drop along the blue line and watch what happens as teams progress through the neutral zone. They don't know what to do. They usually skate directly at that winger and then turn it over, whether that's in the zone or right, behind the blue line, right at the blue line, before they ever get to the blue line. Doesn't matter. That's the new system starting to kind of take shape. And what I was concerned about at the beginning of the season was that this new system designed to generate more turnovers, generate more opportunities on the rush, was actually allowing for easier entries and more zone time and was leading to these high shot totals. Today was a great example of that not happening, of what this system can do, what they are going to be able to do, and that they can go back to being a shot suppression team, a team that does not allow easy entry, that's very good at getting out of their own zone, that never really lives in their own zone because you can't get across the blue line cleanly, and then once you put it in behind, they're so good at these little 3-touch pass or whatever it happens to be, one along the boards, kick it off the boards, guy coming out, or chip it off the boards and out, or flip it out from the back, whatever it happens to be. That's how this team dominates teams. And then they're able to get on the forecheck. Then they're able to fly through the neutral zone. Then they're able to get their defensemen up into the play and do the right things. Like today was the first time, I think, all season long. It's been, 19 games, 18 games? What are they? 11 and 8. So it's 19 games, right? Whatever it's been. I'm looking at my phone to figure this out. 18 games. In the 18 games, I felt like the process for most of them, despite the fact that they were winning, was not very good. And I get the excuses. I understand the reasons why they would not be very good. But today, despite not having 6, 7, 8 starters, whatever it is, they played the style of game that we've grown to know from them. The style of game that gets them to 1 point or whatever away from winning the President's Trophy, to ripping off all those wins right after they get to Boer, to beating the 3 teams in the bubble right off the beginning of that team, to all of what they've done to be this dominant regular season team, and at different times, mainly the Colorado series, thwart a team that skates like that, a team that really can be dangerous. You just completely take away everything they do. And when you put that with then considering the talent of Pacioretty and Stone and potentially Eichel, and we'll talk about that a little bit down the road here, and Pacioretty and Theodore and Carlson and Smith and Marchessault, and then down the lineup to Janmark scores today, Kolizar scores today, Cotter has been scoring, Ronebier, Lecision, Howden had a great opportunity that he ended up blowing, but that's a chance there. Wah has been better at different times over the course of this season. Dodonov has been good at different times. You look at the talent, but to me, all of the talent means absolutely nothing if you cannot play within a system and within a style like they played today to thwart the opposing team's offense. That's what they have to do. Because if these games go up and down, chance, they're going to lose. They're going to lose in regular season games less often, but in a postseason, they're going to lose. And the good news is when you see it today in a situation where they are missing all of these players, they are able to take advantage of what the opposing team is giving them, which is these easy exits, and they make it work. And then when you consider, okay, well, they get the 3 goals. One of them's a shorty. One of them's a goofy one. The other one is a well-earned goal, but it comes off the stick of a player that you would not expect to score. When you start injecting all of the talent back into that, and you start leaning on teams for extended periods of time, there's an expectation that the goals will come. And more importantly, to me, the most important thing of all of this, the biggest part beyond how they scored or what the score looks like, is how often was there even a dangerous chance for Columbus outside of the first period? Nothing. Power plays, on the rush, in zone, nothing. There's never a dropped coverage. There's never a poor exit. There's never extended time in the zone. They're not having any of these issues. And that's the part that really gets me excited. And like the second periods, which I'm going to write about for Monday, have been something that the Golden Knights have been really good at for a long period of time over the course of when they've had to bore. And then there was also, you can go all the way back, we called it second period magic in the first season, where they would just kill teams in the second period. And that was more based on transition. Now it's much more based on hemming them in their own zone and forcing them the inability to change because they cannot get the puck out. The only way to get it out is to chip it all the way down the ice or flip it over the glass, which they did at one point really bad. Like I was nervous for the fans when that happened because that thing came out with fire. When they do that, you get opportunities where you get a full change, as they called it today, a change and a half, and Keegan Kolizar skates right in and has a wide open shot and buries it. And in that case, whether that's him or somebody else, maybe he doesn't score them every time. I know that I'd be a little concerned about that. I'm not relying on that stuff, but that's the type of game and that's the type of period that makes you say no one's going to beat these guys. And to be able to do it with a roster that's less than superstars. And I understand, I'm not trying to put Columbus on some pedestal as, oh my God, they whipped Columbus. That's not the point. The point is they didn't look like that for the entire game against Detroit. It didn't look like that at all against Vancouver, at times against Seattle. Like, these are the bad teams coming in. When you played a good team, they were able to kind of push it to you. But I get why Carolina comes in here and beats the Golden Knights up with the Golden Knights roster. That's not a big deal. We have to understand that this is working towards what it needs to be down the road. And that's where it brings me to Eichel. But first, before I get to Eichel, because I want to stay as positive as can be, but I do want to talk about Eichel a little bit because he is looming in the background and what you're looking at with a team win and how things can change. I want to tell you that this Periscope is brought to you by Conler & Associates CPAs. Conler & Associates CPAs are fantastic with cryptocurrency tax, gambling gains, or any of that good stuff. Small business, if you want somebody to run your QuickBooks or your bookkeeping or your other fast or slow books or whatever books you're running, or if you're like me and you don't like doing your books at all because it's not fun, and then it makes you feel like, man, I really wish I made more money or less money in the event of having to pay your taxes, because I feel like that every time. Go to Conler & Associates CPAs. ConlerCPA.com is the website. Give them a call. Go to their website. The phone number's on there. Give them a call and tell them that SinBin sent you, and they will hook you up the free consultation, and they will handle all your tax needs. Fantastic people over there. Fantastic Golden Knights fans, supporters of SinBin. Very, very happy to have them back on for another season of hosting these Periscopes, and I look forward to doing these late into June or however, whenever the Stanley Cup final is, I don't know. But back to Eichel. So the thing about the talent that's going to come into this roster is that as the talent comes in, you probably are going to start to see some of the onions or the layers peel back on the onion of their system. And when you look back to the Golden Knights being dominant over the course of the last season and a half, not counting this season, because I don't think they've been dominant much outside of the 40 minutes of today. There were different times over the course of the season, but for the most part, it hasn't been. When they've been dominant, it's been very system-based. It has been very much, you can't enter our zone. You will not get shots. We get out of our zone very easily when you have to chip in behind you. If you decide to give us rush chances, we will take them and score. If you decide to force us to put the puck in behind you, we will forecheck you to death and eventually just wear you down and score goals. Now, they did a lot of that against a shit Western Conference or Western Division last year. West Division, whatever the hell we're calling that. The Honda West against the Honda Ducks at the Honda Center. Whatever we're calling that, I don't want to read too much into last season, but I do want to look into how they beat Colorado. They beat Colorado by system, a style of play that took Colorado's best players out of it. When you start getting Pacioretty and Carlson and Theodore and Marchessault back, and those players that have played in this system, players that have worked in this system and have proven to work in this system, that I expect this to rise. I expect the tide to rise on how they played today. It can look like tonight, but even better. And then you'll get more offense because you have more skill in some of these breakaways that aren't scored. You know, the Janmark one or the who had won? Yeah, Kolazar had won. Janmark had won last game. Stevenson had won this game. If that's on the stick of Carlson or Marchessault and Smith like today, you're probably going to get more out of that. But in the case of Eichel, two things are going to happen. One, he's going to be injected into this roster in March with about 30 games left. There's then going to be the deadline, which there's going to be moves around the deadline. And then they're probably at that point, based on where they're headed now, going to be in a situation where those games aren't nearly as important. My concern of what Eichel's going to do is kind of fundamentally change the style of play you want. Now, if you look at the postseason and you say, well, we need to change the style of play fundamentally of what happened against Montreal. It needs to change against Minnesota. It needs to change against Vancouver. It needs to change against Dallas. Yeah, you're right. But what's it going to look like? And can you continue to play this style? Because we've seen pieces of this team that there are moments that this team does fall apart in their own zone. There are moments where they have their inability to get out of their own zone, to not be able to carry it through the neutral zone, to not set up this neutral zone trap. The style of neutral zone that has gotten them to be able to play the shot suppression style, to lean on teams in the second period. If you inject Eichel into this, as great as I think Eichel is, and in many ways it's because of how great I think Eichel is, I think it does change the style of game that you want to play. And so, not only is he going to come in and change the style of play that you're going to have, but also you're going to have a situation where you're going to have to send a couple guys out. And right now, the leading candidate is Riley Smith. And I tweeted this last game and everybody cried and threw their shoe at my Twitter. Whatever. They're probably going to give Riley Smith away for nothing. Like, that's probably what's going to happen. I know there are other people you want them to give away. I understand it. Dadonov, give away Janmark or Carrier or whatever, McNabb, Martinez. I don't care. Like, not Smith. Well, yeah, I get that. I understand where you're coming from on that. But the fact is, he's paid $5 million and he has an expiring contract. And if they were to go down a road of trading Krebs and Tuck and a first for Eichel and then trading Dadonov, who they traded a third and Holden for, so now it's a first and Tuck and Krebs and Holden and a third and Dadonov, and you're giving something up for that, and then you still need more money, so now it's also Carrier, and then we're also playing with 20 players. And then Smith gets to the offseason and you don't have any cap. You can't even sign him back for $5 million, and he walks for nothing, and now you're left with absolutely nothing. You don't want to take that risk. So to me, that's probably the player that's going to go. That, again, changes the depth, changes what you look like on your penalty kill, which has been ridiculously good. Holy shit, the penalty kill was good tonight, to the point that I'm literally going to build out like 4 videos, mostly using tonight, because tonight was brilliant. Everything the Golden Knights penalty kill wants to do, they did perfectly today. Perfectly. You want the point-to-point pass? We're not giving it to you. So where do you look next? We've got a guy breathing down the neck of that guy. Every single pass Columbus wanted to make, the Golden Knights were all over it. They never got opportunities. And when they did hit the cross-ice pass, it was through a bunch of sticks. It was behind guys, in front of guys, whatever. Nothing. And then when it turns over, the Golden Knights have guys in motion, moving forward, brilliant, love it. They score goals. They get these chances. Awesome. Love it. Everything about what you saw today, and again, I stress, this was a team win. This was a win by how they were playing, not by who was playing. And the interesting part to me is that is how the Golden Knights have been at their best. When they're awesome, when they're dominant, there, of course, are going to be moments where guys will make good plays. Wow, what a play by Mark Stone. Holy shit, what a snipe by Max Pacioretty. That will happen no matter who is in your roster, as long as you're somewhere near the cap. That's basically how it's going to work. This team, as a group, has shown for 4 seasons, 4 years, even though they've tweaked it quite a bit, that as a team, they have the ability to play to this level. So to then, again, for like the 3rd time in the past 12 months or whatever it's been, fundamentally change the team, scares me. It scares me. It doesn't mean I think there's no way they're going to win the Stanley Cup, because it's very possible that Jack Eichel gets injected into this thing, and then you get more moments of brilliance and still play the system. But if you were to just tell me they're getting everybody back, what's it going to look like? I'm like, well, they're going to keep dominating. Now, if you say you're going to put Jack Eichel in and you're going to take $9 million elsewhere out and Tuck's never coming back because he's not now, that scares me a little bit. That scares me a little bit. And the same thing goes with like Leonard versus Fleury. That's why that one scared me a little bit. And maybe I'm just not the gambler that they are in the front office. That's fine. Like, they're building a team a different way. It's fine. But today is one of the examples that I look at and I say, it doesn't matter what your talent level is. They are not the more talented team in this game, and maybe it's actually close because it's Columbus, but it did not matter. The way they played is why they dominated this game. The way they went about defending, the way they went about breaking out of their own zone, what they did in the offensive zone, how they killed penalties. The power play is complete trash. It doesn't matter. They didn't need it. Well, they go for 4 or something on the power play. You don't need it. Like, that's how good this system and this group can be when playing this way. And what scares me is that you're going to change it. And as they inject other guys, like, I'm not concerned when Theodore comes back and Martinez, Marchessault, William Karlsson, like, none of them scare me. It scares me a little with Eichel. It does. And maybe I sound crazy. I don't know. But, like, to watch them play this game with this roster that's nowhere near what the roster should look like, and see it look exactly like it can look, and know that putting more players that are better back into it, it will look like this more often. That's exciting. That's the part that has me thinking Stanley Cup. To know that this has been building, but to then change it is concerning to me. Let's go to some comments. What do we have? You're sounding crazy. Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know, like, stop being scared until February. Well, okay, but there's a lot of games between now and February, and to me, all the injuries happen to kind of freak us out of like, what's going to happen with all of these injuries? What are we going to do? Are they going to be able to make the playoffs? I don't know. Now I'm there. Like, okay, they're fine. Like, you go 5-1 on the homestand. You win a couple road games at Dallas and Colorado. Guys starting to funnel back into the roster. I have no concern about the playoffs anymore. Doesn't matter at all. Like, no big deal. So that is a good thing in that doesn't matter anymore. So the focus now to me is, how are you going to look in the postseason? And right now, as good as it can look, it's going to change when they put Eichel into this roster. And that's the part that, like, you want to analyze what's going on with this group. And obviously this group, tonight's group, who gives a shit what they can do or whatever, because it doesn't really matter. No one's going to be playing the same minutes except for maybe Stone and Pietrangelo. Everyone else's minutes are going to come down as you start injecting the other players in. It's more the way that it looked and the ability for it to look like this with much lesser of a roster. Like, I feel like you want to give some of that credit to what the team could look like and has looked like in the past and say, why aren't we giving this thing another chance? Like, that's the part. And I know that there were times that were like, yeah, you got to fix this or fix that. But, like, I just feel like we're headed towards another fundamental change. And, like, I don't necessarily know why. When you're able to play this way, I just don't know why. And yeah, like, I'm scaring you, but I understand it. Like, yeah, I don't, that's not what I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just trying to give you my honest opinion of, like, what I'm seeing, which is tonight's game showed how good they can be playing this style, playing a way that they've played in the past. And then there's also a part of me that's like, well, the goal was offside and the other one's a shorty, and if they just dump it in on their power play, like, what does the game look like? I don't know. And this is absurd. Eichel doesn't mean a fundamental change. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. There is no other way around it. Eichel means fundamental change, period. Stone meant fundamental change. Pietrangelo meant fundamental change. When you bring in superstar player that is going to play 20 minutes a night, it means fundamental change. It probably means the end of some group of lines or whatever it happens to be. We'll see. And, like, this is also the part that scares me a little. It's like front office leash stuff. Yeah, because if it doesn't work, if the system doesn't fit Eichel right away, and it didn't fit a lot of guys. It didn't fit Pietrangelo for 50 games, basically. It didn't fit Pacioretty for a long time. Like, Some guys it didn't fit. Some guys it never fit. Like Cousins never fit. You know, some guy Schmidt's probably a good example that really never fit truly at his best with DeBoer. It does mean fundamental change. And this is a guy who's going to be coming into a new system that's very different than what he's ever played before, having not played for 12 months. It's going to change things. And that's where, while I look at this and like there's great hope that Eichel comes in and it fits right away. Like, yeah, none of those guys are Eichel. That's exactly the point. Is that he's going to change how you're going to play. And how much change is he going to make? That's what's interesting. And again, it goes back to looking at the way that they played today and knowing that they can. Let me talk about a couple of the weird things that happened today. I want to touch on the challenge because I know that a lot of people come to me over the rules, and I stand by horrific challenge because I'll admit how I'm looking at this. Understanding that the way that the challenge system works, when you get to a challenge on an offside, the only thing that matters is the play that brings that possession. Nothing else matters. If there's a high stick before, if someone punches somebody in the face, if the other goal's off, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. Nothing matters. The only thing that matters is when you carry it in or when you put it in or whatever, however the puck gets in. So I'm looking at that saying, well, it clearly goes in without any question. And they roll it back and they say, okay, this is what happened. Yeah, he's clearly offside. Yeah, and I get that. And he was clearly offside coming out. But the second he clears the blue line and they don't call it, that's it. Now it turns back in. Now they have to call that one. For the Golden Knights, clearly a fortunate situation because that play is offside. That play should be blown dead. But it's also a horrendous challenge. Not as bad as, I don't think it's the worst one ever because at the moment, like I said, I'm not even focused on that. I don't really care if the play's offside before. It doesn't matter to me because that's not what I'm looking for. So in that respect, it's like, let's give it a go. Play's clearly offside. Okay. I get it there. I actually think the Pietrangelo one that hit the post right before the end of the second period, first of all, it would have been real close on the time. That would have been super interesting. And then two is there was probably goalie interference before it. So I would have been interested to see what would have happened on that one and how that would have gone down. Another piece that, and I kind of touched on this a little bit, Mark Stone wasn't good today. You know, Max Pacioretty's not there. Stevenson was his normal self. I thought Dadonov has been better up in that role. Again, as I wrote a few days ago, a little bit concerning about what he's going to look like with 14 minutes as opposed to 17, 18, 19. We'll see. Not sure. When Mark Stone isn't good, which has been the case at different times. Oh, yeah, I'll talk about this too. The Janmark disallowed goal penalty. I'll put that back up. We'll put that in a second. When Mark Stone's not good, which has happened in the playoffs, the Golden Knights haven't been able to overcome it in the past. Today, they did. It didn't really matter. In many ways, they were better when he was off the ice, which is interesting and in a really positive stuff. And again, that's where, and I hear a lot about the depth, like, oh, look at how much depth this team has. I don't really think it's that. Like, I think it's proving that certain replaceable players, that any replaceable player that can play inside of a system can play this system the right way. And then if it's all working in the right direction and everything's going your way and you catch the right matchup, which I think in this day against Columbus, it was the right matchup, things can go your way. So Mark Stone doesn't play well. They still dominate. That's exciting to me. That's very exciting to me. And again, hopefully Eichel fits in. It doesn't kill them what they decide to change. But I look at what they have today, what it would have been prior to the Eichel trade, and saying, like, look, all of this can come back and we can still do this. It's super exciting. Now, knowing we're going to change the roster fundamentally when we plug this player in, and then to get under the cap, we're going to change the roster fundamentally by sending multiple players out, that's concerning. The Janmark disallowed goal. So here's how I understand it. When you take a penalty, obviously everyone knows, hand goes up, goalie comes out. The rule says the team has to control the puck. There's two different rules that actually discuss it. One says control, one says possession. I think control is the better word. So there's actually nothing in the rule that talks about the puck going in the own net when the goalie's out, because there's nothing in the rule that actually says you should pull their goalie. That's just common practice, because if the other team touches the puck, it will be blown dead. They can't score. You actually have to put it in. So if the Columbus player had played the puck into his own goal on his own volition, that would have counted. In fact, I've been at a game. It was in San Diego, where the Gulls put the puck in their own goal, and the goal actually got credited to Maxime Lagacé, whatever we're calling him. And that was basically an own goal on a delayed penalty. That's what happened. In this case, even if Janmark's stick touches it or not, doesn't really matter, because the precedent of how they call that is that as the puck is pushed off of a player's stick, that is considered controlling where it goes. Thus, if it goes in the goal, the act of it going in the goal is considered controlling the play. That's why it doesn't count. So no, they don't have possession, but pushing it off the guy's stick is considered control. It's not directly in the rule book. All the rule book says is if they control the puck or if they gain possession. Neither of those kind of happened if you just take the rule. But I think spirit of the rule, the precedent is made. If it's pushed off of the stick towards the goal and eventually in the goal, they're going to rule it off. They're never going to give that a goal. So that's kind of how I saw that one. Young misfits, I see some of that, like chip on their shoulder type stuff, and I think that's why they've been able to get through some of this. But to me, I think the part that's been hard for me to kind of parse through the first 18 games here is that for the most part, the process hasn't looked very good, but the results have been there. And in that regard, who gives a shit? Take your points. The process doesn't have to be perfect in November when you're trying to win a Stanley Cup in April. That doesn't matter. So over the course of 18 games, I don't think they've been very good. I think the goalie's been very good. I think different players have been good in different games. There's been moments where players have been good, but as a whole, I don't think, I wouldn't take this team right now over 18 games and say they're going to win. Now, if you give me tonight's game and give me even just a few guys back in the roster, yeah, I think they could beat pretty much anybody. That excites me. What I have not seen though is how this group of players, I think, are not going to play this way consistently. Luckily, we're not getting this group of players for very much longer. Pacioretty skated today. Martinez has a cut on the face. He'll be back at some point. It was an extra week on Carlson, so he's back in not that long, probably on the other side of Thanksgiving or so. So knowing that this is how it's going to go, great. But these players, to me, have not been difference-making players. And so I don't think they found even one player that would be pushing anyone else out of the lineup of where they would be. That's kind of how I view it at this point. Cotter's probably the closest, and that's mainly because I think you're going to need fourth line scoring. I think that you're going to need depth scoring throughout your roster, because that's kind of just how it seems to go in the postseason for just about everybody. I don't think that anybody out, I don't think Lecision can do it. Roenbier can do it. Jones can do it. And we've only seen one game of Jones, so let's not write him off completely yet. I just don't see it. Again, I'm not seeing enough out of Janmark to think that he's going to be the guy down the lineup. Now, he played up the lineup today. Kolazar is playing up the lineup, getting a few more chances. Wah playing up the lineup, getting a few more chances. As guys funnel back down, I think we do this where we think this player is so much better than the next guy. William Karlsson is so much better than Nick Waugh. Well, he's really not. Is he better? Of course. Of course he is. And of course, as you push the guy down, you're getting better play as you go. I think that's going to show itself in consistency. I don't think the Golden Knights are going to get all their players back and suddenly win games 7-1 every single night. Like, that's not how much better the players are. NHL players are NHL players. They talk about parity in this league for a reason. The difference between a Janmark and a Pacioretty, you're sitting there saying, well, that's massive. Well, it's really not. It's really not. Like, yeah, there are pieces to his game that are there. And trust me, there can be a goal here or there that he's going to create. I get that. So, like, we'll get to this back in a second. I don't know if Jack Eichel can play the system. I guess I'm not going to get to it in a second. I guess I'm going to get to it right now because Mitch is all over me today. I don't know. I've never seen it. I've never seen a Jack Eichel play a playoff game. I've never even really seen Jack Eichel play an important game at all. I know what Alex Pietrangelo looked like when he first got here. It wasn't good. I know what Mark Stone looked like for the first 9 or 10 games he got here. He's doing things, but it wasn't inside of the system. I know what it looked like for Pacioretty. Like, not everyone's Alec Martinez. And this is also playing a center position, which is the hardest position, in my opinion, in this system. It's just concerning to me that knowing how the system can work and putting these guys back in, I just don't know if it's going to come together immediately. And then the concern that I have and have had prior to the trade is that, yes, he will be great, but the pieces you're giving up, you gave up what would probably have been a usable bottom 6 piece in Krebs, certainly an X-factor type player in Tuck, and then probably a Smith, and maybe down the road, someone else beyond that. Like, I think it's going to be 2 or 3 starters in the group. Now, you're showing you can replace them with guys like Ronbier, Lecision, Janmark. Like, I understand that you can replace them with this, but like, it doesn't always work just having the stars because the stars usually play outside of the system. And Eichel is in no way a dominant 200-foot center, which is what this system relies upon. It relies upon forechecking. It relies upon exits. If this team suddenly isn't an A+ in exiting, and maybe Eichel's not at that, we know him for creativity of scoring. We know him for being the elite player in the offensive zone. If he doesn't fit perfectly immediately, it takes away what this team can be, what we've seen in the past. That's why it scares me, because tonight is an example of what they can be, how good they can be, even with a banged up roster. That's the part that scares me. That's all I'm trying to say on Eichel. And I didn't actually mean to make this all Eichel talk, but honestly, I was coming in here trying to be very, very positive, and I just sat on the chair and knocked the thing down. What we've seen has been winning. What are you talking about? They went to the Western Conference Final back-to-back seasons. Pete DeBoer has won like 70 of his 90 games here. Like, what do you mean they haven't won? And yes, they needed to do something different. I get that. Like, I didn't want to see number 3 of Dallas and Montreal. It's just not what I wanted to see. But a fundamental change to the roster, I think, was unnecessary. And I don't know. Maybe I'm going to be wrong. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. If anyone has any other questions, throw them in there. Try to not make a Michael specific. I was trying to be positive here, and I think I did it for like 18 minutes. And then, then I got off track and went nuts. Goalie interference is coming up on Wednesday. We're going to actually do it on Wednesday after the game. So it's going to start a little bit late, probably somewhere around 7:30, 8, something along those lines. And we will see, how that episode goes, because they're gonna play a game right before it. We've never done an episode right after a game. I know how I look like after the games. Yeah. And the other thing, it takes small tweaks. It doesn't take changing the heart of the team. Yeah, like look to some of these teams that have done it. And like, I'm well aware that you have to take St. Louis out of it. Yeah, okay, fine. Tampa, it's little tweaks, it's little changes, it's pieces here and there, but the fundamental core did not change all that much. The Golden Knights are not giving the core multiple kicks at the can. Like the expansion team core had one kick at the can, then they put in Stone. Now, okay, so that team, the Stone, Stastny, Pacioretty with the expansion team, they had one kick at the can. Kind of two. Kind of year three, like barely. But then you're starting to put in, then there's the Leonard Fleury drama and all of that. Like Pietrangelo has had one kick at the can. Now there's an Eichel kick at the can. And if the Eichel kick at the can doesn't work, then what? Thanksgiving plans? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what Abby's going to do. I have no idea. I'm not a big holiday guy, to be completely honest. Like, I just don't care. Thanksgiving's cool because there's football on all day and there's no hockey, which to me just means football all day for me. Like, that's great. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. While you are taking away from the PK with subtracting Smith, do you think that Eichel can make up for that scoring on the power play? Yeah, I do. And I think that the system of the PK system is very, very good. And I like the PK system. But how much better is the power play going to get? I still have concerns because as good as I think the system can be at 5-on-5 and as awesome as I think the system can be at penalty kill, I think the system's complete shit on the power play. Like, I think it's garbage. I don't think they have a plan, and I'm not sure. Like, I need to see it with Eichel. Like, I know what Eichel can do on a power play, and I understand that, like, he can be plan A, and he could be the focal point, and maybe that opens everything up. We'll see. That's the hope. But, like, the system's still not very good, and I'm not sure how much better it's going to be. What are your thoughts on Stone since the return? Today, not good. The first period of the last game, not good. Or when was it? I can't remember which game he came back. I don't know. I have zero concerns of Mark Stone. Like, absolutely none. None. Zero. Free tacos, yes. Boy, does Bruce love yelling tacos. It is a lot. I get tired when he's done talking. That's it. I'm out of here. Thanks again to Conler Associate CPAs. Please patronize them with your business. It means a lot to SinBin. Watch us on Wednesday after the game. We'll have goalie interference right after the game. It'll be live right here. Same place. Not same time. Definitely not the same time as this. That's it. Good night. Golden Knights win. Again, I'm pumped. I think that 40 minutes was fucking amazing. I'm excited. Like, that was awesome. Plug everybody in. Get everybody playing that style of hockey. They're going to be amazing. They're going to win the cup. That's it. Next podcast, I don't know. At some point, there's a long story going on that's been holding that up. We'll figure that out. I don't know. Brett Howden. That's it.